Hey guys, my name is Dan, and this is Stout Gaming. So we are back for the finals of the VBA, where I am running it back against Sasori, who I lost to in the regular season. That was in the last 3 weeks when I wasn't really building that seriously after I'd locked up a decent playoff spot. But this week, I see that he doesn't have a Trick Room setter, but he's got 2 decent Trick Room sweepers. So he's actually done the exact same thing that I'm doing with Glastrier. No setters. Trick Room is not going up in this matchup. Interestingly, his fast mode can compete with mine if that Noivern sets Tailwind, because my Mantine doesn't have Tailwind, and although Unbird and Coco and Chlorophyll Venusaur are going to be fast, they're not going to be as fast as some of his stuff. So looking at this game, I am very happy leading Thievul Coco here. The Thievul has knockoff, so it cripples Marowak, and most importantly, it can help me to identify the item on the Togekiss. But my overall plan for this game is to see what I can soften up here, maybe get rid of that Marowak, because if I can get rid of the Marowak, then Glastrier wins close to for free against this team. So that's going to be the goal, is to lead my best Marowak removal, have a Mantine that can also deal with the Marowak, and then try to get Glastrier in without Marowak, because even if everything else is alive and Marowak's gone, Glastrier can 1v3 his team based on appearances, it looks like. So here I see he's got the Rillaboom and the Togekiss. This is a very bulky Tapu Koko on my side. It is only 1 point faster in speed than Jolly Max Speed Rillaboom would be, and the rest of that goes into bulk and attack. So it actually only took 4 speed IVs to do that. So the play here is always knock off the Togekiss, and his play here is basically always fake out the Thievul. So I just have to decide what I want to take out here, or not take out here, because I don't want him to potentially switch in the Marowak next to the Togekiss. So Airstreaming the Rillaboom seems correct here, at least until I can identify what he has in the back, so I don't just waste a turn of Max. If I really wanted to predict a switch, I could have Darknessed into that slot, but that seems very risky and reveal my tech super early on, whereas Physical Coco with Airstream, I've run it a lot this year. It's something he just has to be used to. Alright, so Coco's maxed, and this Togekiss is maxing and is slower than the Coco, which I knew would be the case, but I feel like I'm in a pretty good position here. If this Togekiss crits, if it's Crit Kiss and it can just take out the Thievul, there's a chance this goes really poorly for me. But generally, I think this is a decent position, because I believe the Thievul is going to get faked out. Then I'm going to get an Airstream off that has a pretty good chance at KOing Rillaboom, unless it is very bulky, because I am Expert Belt. Get the clean KO here. And then this Togekiss will be able to do whatever it wants, but I feel okay in this position currently. Especially because that Coco didn't max Starfall the Thievul. If the Coco did take out the Thievul with a Starfall, there could have been an issue. But here, my speed beats his speed with the current setup. So this is a decent position for me. So, moving into the next turns of the match, what I have to try to do is identify what he's got potentially in the back here. And I sort of want to maintain the speed advantage, and I probably do that a bit to my detriment. I don't want to max Lightning again. Like, I don't want to max Lightning the Togekiss for fear that he switches into the Marowak. And I really overthink this turn, and I think I end up making a mistake, honestly, on this turn. Because max Airstream into the Jolteon only makes sense if I think he's also going to max Airstream, and I care about the speed advantage with Coco over Jolteon. Which, unless he has Charm, I don't care about that. So, this is probably a mistake. Like, the Snarl's not a mistake. The Snarl's definitely correct. But I'm very close to lightninging the Togekiss. Actually, no, this turn I do lightning the Togekiss. Right. It's next turn I Airstream the Jolteon and make that mistake. So the Snarl is correct, and this Max Lightning is correct. But next turn, deciding that getting Chip on the Jolteon is more important than taking out the Togekiss is where I make my mistake. Togekiss does not go down. I thought there was a decent chance it went down there, and if it went down, I would have just wrapped up that game. But I now know it has a decent amount of bulk on it, and he's now got the speed advantage, which makes me want to fight for the speed advantage with an Airstream next turn, and that's where I do that, not this turn. But Thievul goes down, and then I have to decide what I want to come in, and I see that this is not Volt Absorb Jolteon. So I have a bunch of different options here, but I think baiting an electric attack into the Mantine and trying to finish up with Glastrier is the play, because unless he has specifically Marowak in the back, I should still win this game from this position. But if he does have Marowak in the back, I'm going to need to play a bit more carefully. And I also will need to get a Airstream off and hope that he does not Airstream, because now he's got the speed advantage. So here, I decide with the Mantine, like, I could honestly attack into the Togekiss with it. I could go for an Icy Wind, which doesn't seem like a bad play. Haze doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world, but Icy Wind could take out the Togekiss. Could put some Chip on this Jolteon. I could speed up with a Max Airstream. And the only way that this Mantine goes down is a double target into that slot. And if that happens, then I'm pretty sure I lose from this position, especially if I Airstream. I also consider Steel Spiking here, but I hope that he doesn't Airstream and lets me get the speed advantage. And that's sort of the goal here. But I will consume my Wakan Berry. And then after the Wakan Berry, I'm dead to anything here, and if he Airstreams, I'm in a pretty bad position. But he Starfalls. So Mantine goes down here. I do not take down the Togekiss, which would have been nice, but I do get Tapu Koko back to being the fastest thing on the field, and I will get Glastrier in. Again, not the best position in the world, but unless there is specifically Marowak in the back, I feel like I should still win here. I definitely misplayed that turn, though. That was suboptimal. I really should have taken down that Togekiss. But Glastrier gets to come on in now. And everyone's Dynamax is over. So Glastrier can hit everything on his team. I just have to decide if I want to predict a switch into the Marowak in either of the slots, and if so, what do I want to take out? So high horsepower Jolteon and Ironhead and Togekiss sounds correct to me, and I believe at this point that Koko should have the speed advantage again. So a switch into Marowak has to happen, and it probably happens in this Togekiss slot, and if I wanted to call it an assurance into that slot, wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world. But again, that's a very, very tough call to make, because I don't know if assurance takes out Togekiss at this slot. If I knew it took out Togekiss, it would absolutely be the correct call. But Togekiss comes out, Marowak comes in, and I am suddenly in a less than optimal position, because this Jolteon's able to protect, this Marowak's only going to take some minimal damage, and I don't have a guaranteed KO next turn anymore, because this Marowak threatens to kill the Glastrier before it can act. So I have to decide here, what is this Marowak more likely to protect, because with Boomerang and Flare Blitz it can take out either of these. If I call the attack correctly and protect with the other one while damaging the Marowak, I've put myself in position to win. If I call the attack incorrectly and protect the wrong one, then I can go ahead and chalk this one up as an L. So I think the Glastrier looks more threatening, especially to that Jolteon. So I decide to attack the Marowak with the Koko and hope that he attacks into the Glastrier. If that happens, I win. If he ends up taking out the Koko instead, I take a big fat L here. Okay, so step 1 looks fine. If this is a Flare Blitz, I win. Assurance does some damage. If that was a crit, I also probably win. But Boomerang comes out, and I think I lose here because I just can't stop this Marowak from KOing the Glastrier. So that was a good game 1 to Sasori. I think it really set the tone for the set, but I will just let this game play out. Glastrier doesn't really have much of a chance here, and I will see you guys again for game 2. So in game 2, I know I need a different plan. Thievul Koko as a lead worked, but the Mantine Glastrier just sort of wilted in the end game. I am running Focus Sash Venusaur again, which in theory 1v1s anything on his team except for maybe Snorlax if it's very bulky. So the plan is now going to be to lead Thievul Koko once again, but this time follow it up with that Torkoal Venusaur lead to get Venusaur out with Focus Sash. Also justifying my wheel pick with the Glastrier because the Venusaur has definitely underperformed out of the two, but bringing it to the finals would be really nice. AV Torkoal should match up decently well into a lot of the special offense that he brought as well. So I think this plan should work out pretty well for me at this point in time. I'm decently happy with where I'm going with it. Also, Sasori's outfit, like, not normally the type I'd go for in game, but somehow it works with the shiny Rillaboom, and I don't like it, but I like it. So, quality points to him there. So here, he knows that I can just Airstream the Rillaboom and kill it. He's still going to fake out the, what's it called, Thievul. And I don't know what the item on the Togekiss is yet, which I need to know if I ever want to lead with the Venusaur, because I don't want to just Sleep Powder into Goggles, especially since I'm one loss away from losing. But here, I'm just going to accept the fact that Thievul's getting faked out again. But this time, instead of going for the Rillaboom, I'm going to target the Togekiss first, thinking he might try to make a different play here. This will put the Togekiss in range of anything, even if it maxes next turn, or even if it maxes this turn. So this way, I've got pressure on both his mons, because I'm threatening a knockout on both the Rillaboom and the Togekiss, even if nothing goes down this turn. And I should be able to leverage the double pressure into a decent endgame position for me. So, I am feeling, again, decent in this position. I like this lead versus what he has. If he max Starfalls the Thievul, I like it less, but he showed that he is valuing speed with Airstreams whenever possible, and I sort of expect that trend to continue. But here, I think buffing my defense is actually going to go really well for me, because I'm just going to attack around this Rillaboom for a little bit. So fake out again, does a little bit of damage, gets the flinch, and let's buff up the defense. So I know I can KO it with another Steel Spike, so if he has guard, he's got to at least think about guarding, but also I can Airstream into the Rillaboom, so I'm threatening a lot of things. Again, no Starfall, which I don't know if he's running it this game or not, so I don't hate that play, but I do think that it puts me in a pretty decent late game situation. So I get a little bit of RNG in my favor this game. I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to talk through why, after running some calcs, it doesn't actually matter. So let's start with the Howl here. There's a good chance this Rillaboom outspeeds the Koko because of how slow and bulky the Koko actually is, but the Koko is also at +1 defense. So Snarl here, Knockoff here, and Howl here are all reasonable plays, depending on what I think is going to happen. I still don't know that this isn't Crit Kiss, so Snarl has a lot of feels bad opportunities, and I think I want to take out the Togekiss here. So I'm going to Howl. Koko's going to go to +1 attack and +1 defense. Rillaboom misses a high horsepower. And then the Koko Starfalls. Now, Sasori said he was planning on Starfalling and Grassy Gliding the Koko slot next time if that high horsepower had hit, and it might have taken it out. Which, even at +1, could be true, but the problem with that is that this Steel Spike actually just takes out the Togekiss here, so he wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that. And I go to +2 defense, and that high horsepower at +1 defense is only doing 30 to 35-ish%. So I still don't think he has anything that just beats the Koko at +2 defense here. So again, that, while it was fortunate on my end not to get hit there, that actually didn't matter because the Togekiss died. And while he was explaining why it might have mattered, to me afterwards, he mentioned Starfalling the next turn, and I couldn't remember if I'd taken out the Togekiss before it would have had the opportunity to Starfall into the Koko, but I did. So, like I said, fortunate for me, but not game-altering at this point. I would have just been Koko at 70% HP instead of Koko at 100% HP. So here, the Heat Wave seems correct because Torkoal's going to get attacked, so Eruption's not going to work. And then I have to decide what I want to take out, and I think the answer here is Noivern gives me the opportunity for a double KO, but if this Rillaboom is very bulky or AV, it could live. And here he horsepowers the Torkoal, which is going to survive that, and basically anything the Noivern throws at it. And Tailwinds, where he had the speed advantage already, and it shows that Noivern is just faster than the Koko because I wasn't speeding for it. So he's going to have the speed advantage the rest of the game, but I'm going to chunk this Noivern and potentially pick a double KO with Heat Wave in the Sun here, which is going to be decently nice in my position. I do not pick up the KO on the Rillaboom, which means I believe it's Assault Vest, or it could have more bulk investment than I thought it would. Either way, it's a bulky Rillaboom, at least on the special side. Marowak comes out here, and I am at +2 defense now. So, if we're keeping track, if that high horsepower had hit the Koko, I would be at about 70% HP and at +2 defense here. In which case, this Boomerang miss that's about to happen wouldn't matter necessarily. Because the way that I'm playing this, I'm going to set it up so that he would have been able to prevent one hit, but Venusaur is still guaranteed 2 hits because of its Focus Sash. So if the Rillaboom goes down here, the Venusaur still gets 2 hits into something. So even if this Boomerang takes out the Koko, which he's going to be able to take out the Torkoal, Koko will attack into the Rillaboom. So even if the high horsepower had hit and then this boomerang had hit, and let's say one of them crit, because I don't think at +2, at 70% boomerang takes out Coco, Venusaur still cleans up because of a Focus Sash. So while the RNG was definitely in my favor that game, it actually didn't end up mattering. Because Earth Power, with the Focus Sash, if he Flare Blitzes into it, he probably kills himself first off to his own Flare Blitz recoil while I'm at 1 HP, and if not, I get another Earth Power, which is a guaranteed 2-hit KO into this Marowak. So, favorable RNG, like I said, but not game-defining. But it does set us up for a very interesting Game 3, because I didn't necessarily like the way that Game 2 played out, even though I won. So, I've really had to reevaluate my strategy for Game 3, but I'm just going to let the animations play out, and I will be right back with that game. Going into Game 3, I have a decision to make. This whole season, I've been saying Glastrier should be banned, or at least in a separate tier from the rest of the Tier 1s, because it's so much better than everything else. And there has been discussion about how it requires certain speed controls or certain teammates. But, I decided, you know what, I am going to follow in the words of Lil Nas X and take my horse to the Old Town Road and ride till I can't no more. So I am just going to lead Glastrier against this. With no speed control, it will be going last on every turn, and I'm going to dare him to beat it, because the only thing he has that can come close to it is this Marowak. And with Mantine protecting it, I actually like my odds, which is really, really weird, but I think there's a chance that Glastrier can just win this match. So I'm just going to lead Glastrier Mantine, and then decide what I want in the back. And because I know Marowak is the best way for him to beat it, I'm going to go with my best anti-Marowak play, which is the Thievul Coco. Thievul because it gets knockoff to knock off the bone. And Coco because it's physical Coco with Assurance and Expert Belt. So it will pick up the KO on Marowak after some Thievul damage as well. So he sends out Noivern Rillaboom, so I've got to decide what I want to max. Do I want to max the Rillaboom, or do I want to max the Glastrier, or the Mantine? I'm not editing that out, because I'm a professional, and I can take my licks. So, Glastrier just looks like it gets to launch max Ice move. Like, I can just do this. I can just max it into either of these and Icy Wind and pick up some chip on the other one. I'm never going to get speed control, but neither of these can kill Glastrier. Like, even if that's Flamethrower and Noivern, it's not going to do enough damage. It's just not strong enough. And Icy Wind will, if he doesn't Tailwind, I might be able to get the speed advantage with Mantine, but I'll never get it with Glastrier. But it doesn't matter, because Glastrier doesn't need the speed advantage, and that's my game plan. So, we got the Big Pony. The Big Pony is out, and he is ready to do some damage. Sets Tailwind. That's fine, I was never getting the speed advantage anyway, and I'm still not. Life Orb's gone. Do I need Life Orb on Glastrier? After Icy Wind? Probably not. That's just enough chip on the Rillaboom that I'm pretty sure Glastrier, even without Life Orb, will take it out. And a second Icy Wind will actually kill this Noivern, so Mantine's a threat too. And down goes Rillaboom, and Glastrier is +1. Quite suddenly, I have a threat. Because I'm just going to be able to start building some momentum with a +1 max Glastrier, even if it's slower than everything, because he doesn't have a good way to damage it. Like, that's all this part of the match is coming down to. Glastrier's stats are just so overwhelming. 130 defense, 110 special defense, really good HP, 145 attack, and now it's +1. Like, what is he going to do here? Yeah, I'm going to assume this Noivern has Flamethrower, but not wanting to Quake into a potential Togekiss switch because that's how I lose. Max Guard sort of makes sense because I can just take out the Noivern and actually see what's in the back. But honestly, he just isn't going to do enough damage into this slot. I can just launch another Hailstorm, and at +1, I kill either of these things or the Togekiss if that switches in. So, I'm just gonna kill Jolteon, I guess, and Icy Wind. Because unless Marowak specifically is in the back, I just win here. Okay, Fake Tears. That'll be a little annoying with, like, Flamethrower damage. Heat Wave. -2. Does, like, 30%, something around there. Icy Wind. Noivern goes down. Jolteon gets a little bit of chip damage in case it had a sash on it. And then Glastrier just gets to launch a Hailstorm. Yep. Glastrier just picks up 2 KOs, lets the Mantine come through untouched, and now as long as I'm okay with Coco Thievel 1v1ing whatever's in the back, I'm just going to win this game. Like, there's no way around it. He is going to struggle in this position. Like, Glastrier was my best Pokemon this whole season. Usually I'd set Trick Room for it, but it doesn't really even need it. Look, this Togekiss is going to take me out with a Max Flare. I'm going to Icy Wind it. I'm going to be able to stall out a turn of Tailwind, get a Snarl on it, and then finish it up once I can stall out its max with a Wild Charge on Coco. Like, it's a very easy endgame because I just get to Icy Wind twice and completely ignore his Tailwind. Because he has to flare the Glastrier here. Like, maybe protecting Glastrier, getting a turn of chip, like, could have technically been better because he needs to flare it, but, you know, I want to punish him if he chooses not to. Or if he, for some reason, wasn't running Heat Wave, which you have to run Heat Wave against my team on Togekiss if you're playing Max Togekiss. Alright, so Togekiss goes ahead and maxes. And it just launches the Max Flare into the Glastrier, which will completely take it out, except for the fact that it doesn't, because even at -2, Glastrier survives that. I don't know if that's a good roll on my end. I really haven't done that calc. I don't know the spread on the Togekiss. But Glastrier is just going to pick up 3 KOs in the final and be my MVP of the season, cementing itself with an MVP level game. Glastrier is just really good. And that's really all I have to say about that. But honestly, the VBA this season has been absolutely awesome. Sasori was a fantastic opponent for the finals. I very much enjoyed this season. There have been a lot of really fun, really close matches. This has been the most fun team I've ever drafted or built with, and I'm really looking forward to next season. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.